Just over a decade ago, I did an extended written review of Peter Boghossian's book, Manual for Creating Atheists, and it remains one of the most terrible books I've ever had the displeasure of reading. I thought that it would be interesting to go back to that review and to do it in video form, which we're going to do here in my YouTube channel. And we're going to begin in this first installment by taking a brief look at Michael Shermer's foreword to the book. So Shermer's title for his foreword is Born Again Atheist, which I actually think is kind of perfect. The description really captures and conveys the tone of the book as a whole. That is, it is a piece of fundamentalism, fundamentalist rhetoric that paints the world in stark hues of darkness and light, the ignorant versus the informed, the bad versus the good, the outsider versus the insider. Within that dark landscape, it lays out a guide for a kind of brawling, contemptuous approach to secular evangelism of the outsiders who are in the dark, ignorant, and bad religious landscape. And Shermer models that tone of the book in his foreword with the following caricature of Christian belief that he gives on page 12. He writes, God sacrificed himself to save us from himself. And then Shermer adds this commentary, barking mad. Now, what's interesting is that Shermer himself converted to Christian fundamentalism as a teenager, and he remained a Christian fundamentalist until graduate school. It was, I think, in those pivotal years from his mid teens to, I guess, his early mid 20s that he was really formed, it seems to me, with a deeply fundamentalist mindset in which one thinks about reality in terms of these stark hues of darkness and light, ignorant and informed, bad and good. And then you place the dark, ignorant outsider as the person who is deserving of contempt and caricature. As a Christian fundamentalist, or I should say a fundamentalist Christian, the outsider was the one who was non religious or atheistic. When he flipped and became an atheist fundamentalist or a fundamentalist atheist, the outsider then became the religious or Christian individual. And this is what I see time and again that people become fundamentalists of one or another sort. And then when they leave that form of fundamentalism, let's say Christian fundamentalism, they retain the fundamentalism, but they just bring those categories into another belief system, like skeptical secular humanism. And you now have the same contempt for outsiders and you have the same binary worldview, but you've just put it into another form. In my book, You're Not as Crazy as I Think, I talk about this temptation, this tendency in the fundamentalist mindset to marginalize outsiders. And I give contrasts and comparisons of how Christians and atheists can do the exact same thing. Uh, and I give an example from a video curriculum that was put out by Focus on the Family in the late 2000s called The Truth Project, which was like a 12-part indoctrinational curriculum for Christian schools and churches. And it functions to indoctrinate Christians into a Christian fundamentalist mindset. And a perfect example of that is the host, Del Tackett, at one point, he's comparing in terms of the binaries a Christian view of the human person, which he says is imago Dei. We are created in the image of God. And then he says that contrasts with the secular atheist view of humans, which is that we are imago Gou. We are created in the image of Gou. And this gets a laugh from the audience and no shortage of contempt because, of course, the atheist perspective of human beings or the naturalist perspective of human beings is something that we should be contemptuous of and dismissive of. And that's what you do to outsiders is you caricature and then are contemptuous of their beliefs. As Dill Tackett mocked an atheist or naturalist view of human persons as imago Dei, So Michael Shermer mocks Christian understandings of the nature of divine reality and in relation to it by saying God sacrificed himself to save us from himself. Each one is, for the insider, barking mad. Shermer was a born again Christian, but when he left that behind, he simply became a born again atheist. The whole time he retained his fundamentalist mindset. And this foreword captures the theme and tone of the book itself. Trimmer's foreword succeeds in spades in this respect. It is fundamentalism for the secular mind, indoctrinating the reader into contempt for outsiders, treating them as benighted fools, caricaturing, strawmanning their beliefs. And as we go through the book in the ensuing installments of this video review series, we will see that it only gets worse from here.